He's the coolest pet in town. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
He... He's not a pet.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up, honestly.
You know what, though? To be fair, she was sort of talking to him like that towards the end, so...
She did keep petting him, which was strange.
I mean, I would pet a dinosaur. Regardless.
I would, too.
I mean, fair.
Welcome to episode 70 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
I'm a ghost. I'm Katie.
And I'm so fucking flustered now. This is Tammy and the T-Rex, episode 70 of 1994. We've been...
Or is it Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex? We don't know.
That's how I was going to introduce it, and then we have been fighting recording issues for 30 minutes. So Tammy and the T-Rex, 1994. This movie is bonkers.
It rips.
It does. You guys, we've just been so lucky. Like, okay, I know that nobody got to listen to the episode we recorded last week for From Beyond, which, again, was a very good episode. But we've just been so...
I still have it. Anybody wants to hear it, I'll just release it with none of my audio. So it's like real weird.
We can do it like a choose your own adventure thing, so they like pretend to be you.
It'll be a bonus episode where if you want to, like, you can just talk in the spaces and pretend like just record your own episode with us. Yeah, do you want to record an episode with Kit and Katie? There you go.
Yeah, we should have people dub in their own parts and choose like the best bits and choose a winner for best bit.
That sounds amazing. Please do that. Yeah. Yeah, so obviously, we've been having recording issues. Hopefully they're fixed now. But we've just been so blessed with, like, super great movies for the past, well, except for one movie, for the past, like, month. And was earlier, when I was, like, taking notes for this, I was thinking about that, and I was like, eventually we're going to fall. We're going to fall so hard. It is.
It's going to be Pigster. I know it.
It's gonna be something on Amazon Prime that we just stumble across. We're like, oh, killer whale shark versus pterodactyl octopus or some fucking nonsense.
Pterodactopus?
Yes.
I love it. So yeah, Tammy and the T-Rex is on Shudder right now, and if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend. First of all, turn this off, go watch it, come back.
We'll wait
because it's yeah.
You have to know about the dick grab fight.
I mean,
you have to see that before you listen to us talk about it.
Literally a solid 4 minutes into the movie. It should not take that long.
Yeah, so go watch it, because this is another one of those ones that, like, I really think you need to experience everything for yourself first, and then come listen to us talk about it.
Right. It's not a spoiler kind of movie, but, like, it's a movie that regardless you need to watch.
Yeah, some real LOL moments, if you will.
Also, be prepared for some cool racism and gay bashing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's been a while.
Good old 1994.
Yeah, it's back.
Alright, so this movie was directed by Stuart Raffill, who also directed Mac and Me.
Yes.
He just directs nightmares.
He's the best. Did y'all see they recently found a cut scene from Mac and Me that was only released on the Japanese DVD where the kid in the wheelchair just like gets shot by a bunch of cops that are trying to shoot the aliens?
No.
Wow.
Oh my god, it's horrifying.
I assume
just like, why was this in the film?
I assume they bring it back to life or whatever.
I imagine so. I didn't see anything other than that out of context clip.
That's just the way it ends.
It seems like kind of a weird thing to leave in like the Japanese version. Cause
I have no idea why it made it in that one, but no other versions, and is like still in that version of the DVD.
My favorite thing about Mac and Me is that almost every time Paul Rudd goes on Conan O'Brien's show, he just plays.
Oh
the
my
clip.
god,
so good.
I did see like
it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, I saw that recently actually, and I didn't know that was like a bit or whatever. So it was like for me, I was seeing it the first time and I was like crying. It's so funny, and he just like totally goes along with it. He's like, yeah, yep, whatever, because he's a gem of a person. But anyways,
it's gonna be a real bad day when like something shitty comes out about Paul Rudd.
I'm saving my last candle for him. I'm not gonna lie. If
he's too pure.
He is, and if he does something to break my heart, I don't know what I'll do.
So this movie was written by Stuart Raphael and Gary Brockett and stars Denise Richards as Tammy or Tanny, who is our Seinfeld connection because she was in the Shoes episode of Seinfeld, which I completely forgot.
Same.
Yeah, I didn't.
I know the episode, but I just did not remember her being in it. Theo Forsett as Byron, and R.I.P. Paul Walker as Michael, a.k.a. the dinosaur.
Do you think they had him in the animatronic T-Rex?
You know what?
So like, at least feel like part of the film?
Why? Oh, God, I hope so. That's the fucking... you have the Blu-ray. I don't know if you watched any behind-the-scenes stuff or maybe they talk about it, but I guess, like, the movie was only made because this, like, the director or somebody was just like, well, I have this animatronic, like, T-Rex, so we should make a movie about it.
I was just reading about that. They were like, oh, well, what's the movie about? He's like, I don't know, send it over. I mean, like, yeah.
That's a perfect reason to make a movie. Like,
I would agree.
I've got this T-Rex for a couple of weeks before I need to send it off to like Texas or whatever. Like, you want to make a movie around it? Why not?
The dinosaur looks really good, so like, why not?
I was surprised, honestly.
Except for, his arm when it's
his like
stretchy
puppet
arms are normal.
Hand,
yes. This movie rules. Everything about this movie is perfect.
It is, down to like our quintessential 90s fashion that we all love so much. It's great.
Yes.
I didn't even think about it till just now, but like, they're supposed to be in high school, right?
Yes.
It is
guess.
Very unsettling that there's a striptease at the end. Now that I'm thinking about it. Alright, let's fucking dive into this, because we're gonna have I'm gonna talk about this opening for like an hour where we get to the fight. So this movie opens with Tammy at cheerleading practice doing a routine, essentially
sing the song.
My second note is opening song fucks.
I wrote Tammy is cheering to T-Rex classic rock song.
Go Panthers! Go Panthers! Go Panthers! Go Panthers!
Dinosaur man, your T-Rex on the loose. I'm coming out to get you. I'm gonna cook your goose. Everything is different. It's a different game. Jump into the fire. Jump into my brain. Dinosaur music inside my brain. Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna go insane. Feel the rumble, feel the roar. Dance to the music of the dinosaur. Ow! Watch your step, I'm coming after you. Dinosaur music inside my brain. Sometimes I feel like I'm going insane. I feel the rumble, I feel the roar. Dance to the music of the dinosaur. Ow!
I need more songs about dinosaurs.
Yeah, hardback.
But yeah, she's at practice doing some routine, and Michael comes in to watch like a fucking creep. They have like a quick back and forth, setting up that they are, I guess, romantically involved, even though she has a boyfriend of some sort. It is very weird and confusing.
Yeah.
But then you are introduced to Byron.
Which, obviously, I'm going to nominate the stan of this movie as Byron because he is amazing, and he's serving looks in his puka shell necklace.
Yes, Byron whips ass.
Yes,
we stand.
He is very good.
And his outfits are fantastic.
Yes.
I was extremely disappointed in his bike outfit because I was just like, I feel like he would have more flair than this, based on everything else he's wearing.
Well, my favorite thing about it is, like, I think it fits really well because, like, they're, like, doing all this stuff and he makes a point to say, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really into, like, physical stuff. But then he has, like, a full-on, like, professional, like, cross-country bike riding outfit that, like, why otherwise? So I thought it was funny.
The suit with the butt pad built into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the spandex shorts and, like...
So Byron is an African-American black or gay man in this movie that is the butt of a lot of jokes, especially by the police, which sucks.
Yeah,
Yes.
there were some later that were pretty cringy.
But he is Tammy's best friend. Tammy and Michael, like, Michael gives her a flower. Michael is Paul Walker, BT Dubs. Gives her flour, which she says she can't accept, so he eats it. Normal.
As you do, you know? Yeah.
They're kind of having, like, an argument, and Billy, Tammy's other boyfriend, and his gang show up.
Yeah, so Billy is, like, her ex-boyfriend who is, like, really, like... they are broken up, but he's just, like, obsessed with her, and she's, like, not allowed to talk to anybody, and he just, like, shows up with his, like, group of thugs, like, anytime she's doing anything just to, like, ruin her life, and it's so it's bad.
He's a real turd.
He is.
But you immediately get into maybe the craziest fight since They Live, where Billy and Michael start fighting, and it is extremely long and ends with them each grabbing each other's dicks.
Billy does an elbow
twist.
drop, like,
Yes.
legit just jumps in the air like Macho Man.
So, like, this is all you need to know about Billy because he instigates the dong grabbing, and, like, I'm not a dude, but, like, even I know that's, like, the one thing you don't do in a fight, so, like, come on, man.
Yeah, but he's a bad boy. He doesn't fight fair.
What's really weird is, so he grabs Michael's dong and is, like, twisting it and shit, and, like, Michael's, like, writhing in agony and then grabs his dick, and whenever they get broken up, Billy's, like, down on the ground screaming, and Michael's, like, totally fine. He's like, oh, I was wearing a cup. But why?
Yeah.
Why was he, like, in so much pain? I'm so confused.
Well,
He's a good
the better
actor.
question is, like, how didn't Billy notice that he was grabbing a cup? They're plastic, right? Like, my
it's
favorite
very
thing.
Obvious.
Maybe he was
Yeah,
just like,
you would-
wow, like, maybe I got a fucked up dick if these are what dicks feel like.
This guy's got a bona. No, my favorite thing about this part
Not
is
yet.
that. No, well, is that is that when the cops show up, the cops are like these two older like southern white dudes, and they're like complete idiots, right? And they're just like whatever. But one of them's like, "You let go of that boy's gonads, son," and then the other one's like, "It's a testicular standoff," and I wrote that in like all caps.
Literally, my only note is testicular standoff.
It's my punk.
Love it.
It's my punk band.
Yes.
I love it.
So, yeah, the cops break it up, and that's when Michael's like, "I was wearing a cup."
Spot on.
I also like I didn't get her name. It's the girl that kind of instigates Billy coming after Michael, like when Michael dies later. She looks like Kayla from Airheads, and I was extremely disappointed when it was not her.
For some reason, when I first saw, I just kept writing blonde girl. I don't know what her actual name in the movie was. But when I first saw her, I thought she was not Christina Applegate. I just blanked on her name.
Aguilera.
Clueless, the Clueless girl. Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone.
And I was like, oh, dang. I was like, oh, wow, that's not her at all. Like, but when she was, like, yelling, her hair was all over the place or whatever, and I was, like, really excited, and I was like, oh, that's not her. It's just some random blonde girl. Wendy, maybe her name was?
I literally got, like, 4 people's names in this movie because, for the most part, everybody besides, like, Tammy, Byron, Michael, and then, like, the doctors.
The T-Rex.
Yes. I just referred to it as Dino for pretty much the rest of it.
Dino Mike.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
I called him P. Rex. Paul Walker Rex. P. Rex.
Very disappointed this movie did not end up being real. They just like revitalized Paul Walker as a dinosaur and then like replaced it's just a dinosaur in all of the Fast and Furious movies.
I would love Fast and Furious franchise so much more if Paul Walker was a T-Rex in all of those films.
Let's be real. At this point, it's surprising there has not been a dinosaur in those movies.
Yes.
Just fucking Vin Diesel and The Rock beating the fuck out of a T-Rex.
Or riding them.
Yeah.
They've like got a
Oh
T-Rex
my
with
God.
nos.
I guarantee you at some point something's going to happen where they have to like trick out a fucking like T-Rex in a museum and put wheels on it and shit and ride it around.
My God.
It is now.
That
It is
rules
now.
so hard.
TM.
Just fucking...
We're coining
the
it.
nitrous blast out of its ass, just like blue flames as it's flying down the highway.
Throw us each like $5,000. You could have that idea, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. Cinema.
My only note for basically the rest of the scene that follows is just dinosaur. When it's fucking Dr. Walkenstein and Helga and whoever their fucking henchmen were.
Okay. One of the main henchmen, so there's one guy who I kept calling Muscles because he's like a tall blonde guy
Muscular.
with muscles. Yeah, the other guy who
It'd be better if you just referred to them the opposite, whereas the nerdy dude was Muscles.
Yeah.
Right. I think his name is Bobby, but I immediately recognize him because he's Isaac, the like creepy leader kid from Children of the Corn.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit!
I think his name... Brian, maybe?
It's Bobby.
Is it? Who's Brian?
I don't know.
Oh,
Are you thinking
that's
of
Paul Walker's name in
Byron?
Fast and Furious.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god. He was like calling him different stuff though.
Nope.
Like he was.
Brian is just a misspelling of brain in my notes.
Oh. Oh, I love it.
It
I love it.
didn't autocorrect
That
it 'cause
rules.
it's a right
Who
word,
is
and I was
Brian?
like, Brian put in dinosaur. What the fuck is happening? Oh, it's been a day.
I love it.
Yeah, so essentially you just get like the introduction to the scientist and then like the animatronic dinosaur, which seems weird that you are trying to. It's weird to me the entire time of that it's an animatronic dinosaur the whole movie. It's not like a real dinosaur.
I really enjoy whenever they're testing it out and they toss the like barbell at it and it catches it with its tiny little T-Rex arms and throws it right back.
Rules. Everything with the dinosaur is so good. Like, when they have him doing, like, mundane bullshit is, like, my favorite thing. But you cut to a scene of Michael in bed being super emo. Just fingering a bracelet.
This is maybe my favorite scene in the film.
Is it when he, like, gets up to leave and shit?
He gets so excited, like legitimately excited.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of sweet.
He's in bed and Tammy calls him and like apologizes for running away earlier and that she wants him to come over, but like don't park in front and like you got to come to this specific window. He's too excited. He didn't hear anything past come over.
Yeah, right.
He's okay, shut up. I'm on the way.
I'm coming.
Has to run back in to grab a condom before he leaves because he's about to fuck.
Good for him for being safe.
High schoolers that are at least 22.
We've seen worse.
Oh, okay. I've watched Saved by the Bell. I mean, Denise Richards at least looks high school age. Paul Walker does not. Paul Walker looks like he's at least 20 in this.
The T-Rex definitely isn't high school age.
Oh, God. You know how fucking mad I am? There was never, like... This movie should have ended with the dinosaur still being alive and just going about Michael's life. Like, going to school, being on the football
team sitting in class,
shit.
Taking notes.
Oh, my God.
God,
I think he sort of has an unfair advantage when it comes to football, though. Like, he does have tiny arms, but he can run real, like, outrun everybody.
There would be a scene of, like, 10 people holding on to him as he's just, like, slowly walking to the fucking goal.
See him, like, skateboarding through the mall.
Oh, God.
The fucking mall cop chasing after
sunglasses.
him.
I desperately need a TV show that's just this movie, but, like, following what happens.
That's
the
what,
everyday life.
Yes.
That's what Tanny and the teenage T-Rex is.
That's
the spin-off show.
That's
like,
right.
They don't say Tanny anywhere in the movie. It is blatantly Tammy. Why is the fucking credits, her name is Tanny?
The first time I watched this, I was so confused. I was like, did they send me the wrong DVD? Like, what is happening here?
Is there an explanation for it?
No, there's I only realized it because there's like a trivia thing on IMDb that says she's like credited as Tanny.
Yeah, it was just it was so rushed and like no one gave a shit about this movie at all that the production crew fucked up the name for the credits and no one cared enough to fix it. So they just left it in there.
I like that they put teenage though. Like
Yeah, like not only did they just like type her name wrong, like I get it, the N and the M are next to each other, honest mistake. But then they like added a whole second like another word.
It rules that this is like coming out now. Cuz like
Yes.
I have vague memories of seeing the PG-13 version of this. Like parts of this movie I remembered, but if this movie had like stayed in circulation, I guarantee you would have like the same kind of reverence as like, or you know, quote unquote reverence as like the Super Mario Brothers movie and like Howard the Duck and shit.
100%.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really surprised that I've never heard of it until, you know, it was until it was like coming back now, and I feel like I
put it out.
Yeah, I feel like it stars a dinosaur. Like, how have I not heard of this?
Because it came out, I think the same year as Jurassic Park.
Oh.
It's such a bonkers story, too.
It's amazing.
It is.
And, like, if you cut out a lot of that stuff, like, I could see this working well as, like, a kid's movie. Like, like Mac and Me.
Yeah, and that was their original goal. Like, they cut all that stuff out because they wanted to appeal to, like, kids and families, and it bombed, so they're like, alright, whatever, and just, like, threw it in the trash for, 20 years, whatever.
But there's so much cursing in this movie that it's like, how do you cut any of, like, this movie would just seem so hacked up to, like, cut any of the stuff out, minus, like, some of the gore.
So the Blu-ray that I bought comes with the, like, family edit that they played in theaters in 93. and I cannot wait to watch it and see how nonsensical it is.
I hope they do like the TV, like over editing over curse words, where it's just like you
Mr.
mother father.
Falcon.
Yeah, Mr. So Michael runs the fuck out of his house, basically not hanging the phone up, and ignores everything Tammy told him, which was don't park out front, and which to him meant park literally right next to the driveway on the other side of the house,
right behind the tree or whatever.
Yeah. And like goes to like can't figure out what window she said to go to, and luckily she sees him out there and tells him to climb up the trellis because that's a thing that everybody does. And as he's doing this, like, two of the girls in Billy's gang drive by and see, and they're like, we're calling Billy. And they do, and they, as Michael climbs through Tammy's window, they immediately knock over every single thing she owns.
Right? Flip her entire bedroom upside down.
I like that Tammy's dad calls her instead of just going up there. Like, calls her on the phone instead of walking upstairs to figure out why everything in the house is falling over.
Right? I was like, Tammy's dad calls from downstairs, question mark? Like, is that a thing?
You never know. It could have been like a bunch of rabid raccoons up there. Don't want to get got.
I mean,
that's true.
What if a dinosaur came in and stole her?
Right?
They mentioned it. They mention it like later, where like when
she doesn't like to be disturbed.
Yeah, but like, come on.
Yeah, and then she's just like, it was a dictionary. I'm studying. I'm like, whole ass man fell over a chair and knocked like everything off and you're just like, it was a dictionary, and he's like, all right.
At least 5 things besides his body fall into the ground, and they're just like, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like 4 dictionaries, like, all bundled together as a volume.
Maybe she's got, like, the Encyclopedia Britannica as her dictionary.
So they get on the bed and make out as Billy shows up and just bursts into the fucking house.
Yeah, like...
I like the dad's like, I'll take care of this, and then just gets pushed into the wall, and it's just like, oh, this is their house now.
They live here now, I'm sorry.
Essentially, like, Michael goes out the window, and they give chase to him, where he is running, and they are following him in cars.
Yeah, I was like, he can run pretty fast. 3 cars, and he's just, like, running in front of them.
He outran him for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he gets hit with a baseball bat from a moving car, and is okay instead of dead.
Yeah, right.
Billy and his crew like basically beat up Michael for a minute and then throw him in the trunk and drive off, where they drive to a nondescript wild animal park.
Okay. I have an issue with this animal park because, number one, it's like a fence, and they just like go in, and there's literally like jungle cats just roaming in this wild area. There's like lions and jaguars and shit. I'm like, why is this secure? Like, why can people just drive in here at night?
It's
like,
also just like a chain link fence with just a chain holding it closed at night. But which makes me think that during the day it's wide open.
Right, like that. A chain link fence is what separates a fucking lion from like the town, because he didn't run that. Like, he ran a couple blocks. So like, what is going on here is what I want to know.
It's like super not obvious that there's a bunch of murderous wildcats in there also. like it's not like a zoo entrance or anything.
No, it's like it's like literally they like walked through a gate into a field, and there's
just
like
a generic fence.
Yeah. And there's just like awesome. A lion there.
I love it so much. Yeah, they just see this lion and they're just like, oh, I can just fucking leave Michael here. So they let him out of the car, out of the trunk, and like Billy tells him the next time he'll kill him, and they just drive off. Michael doesn't know where he's at until he sees a lion, and then like a cheetah or some shit, and a panther. Like, somehow manages for a while to outrun a couple of them and then gets attacked by a lion, but not too bad because he looks pretty good in the hospital.
Yeah, he's like totally fine.
He's like in a coma, but like other than that, it's like
like whoever the stunt double was that got like attacked by the lion, it looked like it was fucking him up. So
yeah, I thought for sure he was gonna be like dead from that, but
there like wasn't even a scratch on him.
Yeah, he just has like some bruises.
Yeah, maybe some contusions.
Maybe the lion just didn't have teeth and was just like gumming him up a little bit.
That's why they feel so comfortable with the chain link fence. They're all like declawed and don't have any teeth.
Oh my god, that's sad.
Yes, it is. So Michael gets taken to the hospital. Tammy and Byron show up, and I just thought Michael looks pretty good after being mauled. You're also introduced to Uncle Bob.
Yes.
The other best character of this movie. Who is just his drunk uncle that's just passed out in the chair. You find out Michael's got like no living relatives besides his uncle. Byron goes to pass out and sits on Uncle Bob, which I'm very surprised there was not a super gross joke there.
Yeah, Byron's classy, so it's okay.
Yes. For some reason, Billy shows up. Like, I don't know how he knows that Michael's there and what room he's in, but just bursts in. And
also, it's like Michael is in intensive care, and they're just like letting any old person run in to see him.
This town doesn't seem like it has a lot of rules.
I mean, no, obviously not.
It's lawless. It's a lawless place.
Yeah, he's in intensive care for the 18th person to get mauled by a lion that day because they just have a fucking chain link fence on the wild animal park.
Right.
Guys, can we talk about how Roger Lodge, the host of Blind Date, plays the doctor in this scene?
He's
my
the
god!
Doctor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew, I saw him and I was like, he looks so familiar, and I was gonna go look up who he was, but I forgot. That's hilarious.
Have you watched Blind Date recently?
Yes.
Not recently.
It's fucking rough.
It is.
Like
all I ever think about is that one date where the guy goes to kiss a woman and she pulls up a chicken leg to block him. It's incredible.
I am
a queen.
Constantly on the hunt for Pumpkin and Hottie's episodes of Blind Date.
Oh my god, yes.
But when I first got my Roku box, like last Christmas or whatever, like I set it up and I was just like, I was looking through like the Roku channel just to see what it was, and I had Blind Date on there, so I was like, I'm just gonna put Blind Date on while I'm doing like whatever around the house, and it's hard to watch. It's real rough. It's no cheaters, that's for sure.
No one got stabbed on Blind Date that I'm aware of.
Also, there's a show called The Fifth Wheel that's on that I think like the same people that produced Blind Date is on the Roku box. Or like the Roku channel.
Hell yes.
That
I'm in.
Pumpkin was also on that I would need to find that episode as well.
Of course.
So, yeah, Billy shows up and I guess is going to try and fight Michael even though he's in a coma, and slaps the shit out of Tammy. And her and Byron kick them out. Then Dr. Walkenstein shows up, smoking. Just fucking walking through the hospital with a cigarette in his mouth. Him and Helga get into Michael's room and get like a... Well, first he hands a cigarette off to Roger Lodge. And she's just like, oh, cool, thanks. And then fucking leaves. But Dr. Walkenstein gets like a bunch of info from Tammy, and that's how you find out that like his uncle was like the only living relative, and there like Helga goes to like check his vitals and stuff and say that Michael's heart stopped, and they barely try to resuscitate him. They're just like, he's dead, you gotta go.
I love this scene because the doctor is just like, live, live, and he's like shaking him, screaming, live, and he goes, well, I did all I could. And Uncle Bob's just like sleeping.
Uncle Bob rules.
Yeah, Uncle Bob could not be bothered.
No.
So Michael, quote unquote, dies as Tammy and Byron pass out on the floor, and Helga just takes Michael.
Both of them just pass out, and then Uncle Bob like wakes up and sees Helga like taking Michael, and it's just like,
Hey, then he say something. He's like, "It's been a bad day all around," or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Helga and Dr. Wackenstein just like wheel Michael's body out to this car where Bobby is at, and he just like comes to. Like, it's just like, I don't know, like, what the fuck's going on? And they try to shoot him up with some drug to put him like back into his coma, and instead Helga just knocks him out. Which comes back later in the most disturbing thing in this fucking movie for me. They take Michael back to their lab, where they're kind of like, it's Wackenstein, Helga, Bobby, and the Muscle Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Just preparing Michael to like, or you know, they're like over his body. They start like, they pull out a scalpel and he cuts Michael's head open, and Michael wakes up. And Helga just punches him out again, and then they immediately pull out the absolute wrong type of saw to be doing brain surgery. It's like a saw with a, like, number one, I don't think would cut through bone, and also has a blade that's like a solid 4 or 5 inches long. But they just, their anesthetic is they punched him in the face and they cut out his brain.
Yeah, and this scene is like really funny too, because like the doctor's like so nonchalant about it. He's just like, yeah, we're just gonna like cut his head open. There's like blood splattering everywhere. Like Bobby gets covered in blood, and then Muscles just like throws up, and it's just so ridiculous.
It rules. Like, it's, I hate the idea that like the only thing, like, how would he not wake up when?
That was a hell of a right cross.
Yes.
I mean, I've never been punched out before, but I feel like getting your head sawed open would be like a worse pain. But I don't know. He's been in and out of a coma, so let's just, I guess.
So,
I don't know.
After they like cut open like his fucking skull cap, they like, Dr. Wackenstein starts putting probes in Michael's brain to test that it works. Which one probe makes him kick his leg, and then the next one, as the Muscle Man is holding his legs down, just gives him a boner. He then
it's
makes
like twitching
dance.
around. Yeah.
It's so weird.
He gets so close to hitting the Muscle Man in the eye, and it cracks me up every time.
God, this movie is perfect. And so basically they end up taking out his brain. Michael's body starts shaking violently, and the Muscle Man's like, "What's happening? What's going on?" And Bobby's like, "He lost his mind."
He's lost his mind.
So they take the brain up to like the dinosaur's head, where they just have a bowl of some kind of fucking green liquid that apparently equates to, I guess, spinal fluid of some sort. And
sure.
They start doing more tests where, like, the same thing where they put probes in it to see if the dinosaur's arm will move, which it does, and immediately feels up Helga. And then they ask the Muscle Man, like, "Hey, are the legs down there moving?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, check again." And they do a probe in it, and it just kicks the Muscle Man over. This is when I have Brian put in dinosaur.
Poor Brian.
Yeah. And then, like, I don't understand the science behind this, but they're just like, the final lobotomy will be in the morning, which I don't understand what that means. But they essentially tell Bobby and the Muscle Man to get rid of Michael's body. Wachenstein and Helga are gonna go fuck. Bobby and the Muscle Man are just like, fuck this, we're ordering pizza.
That's the move after you've cut a man's head open and taken his brain. Like, all right, well, it's pizza time.
Agreed completely. It's always pizza time, though.
That's true.
And so the pizza delivery driver shows up, who I meant to look up. Is this the same dude from Napoleon Dynamite?
It is.
Okay, I thought
Okay,
so.
good, because I wrote Pedro shows up.
Helga is also in Napoleon Dynamite, so we've got 2 Napoleon Dynamite connections.
Which just makes me think that, like the guy, like, so when, like, the Napoleon Dynamite, he had to have been, like, 30 or some shit by the time, like, he was fucking filming that movie, playing,
yes.
I guess, a high schooler. So this pizza guy shows up and is, like, walking around trying to fucking drop the pizza off, and sees the dinosaur and essentially just gets, like, scared off by it because it's, like, coming to life or whatever. Bobby and the muscle guy come back in and eat the pizza in front of the dinosaur and sitting right next to Michael's body.
And his skull cap.
Yes.
Also, Bobby's, like, still completely covered in blood.
I mean,
Like, hasn't washed his hands or anything, and it's just like, pizza.
Look, it's been at least 30 minutes. He's busy.
Oh, yeah.
The dinosaur basically sees them staple Michael, like, his fucking old head back together. And then Bobby starts mocking the dinosaur and immediately gets his head eaten off. And it rules.
The gore's pretty good.
It's not bad. Like, a lot of the fake heads are pretty terrible looking, but they covered enough, like, viscera and shit that it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Very gooey and stringy.
Yes, very stringy.
Oh, and, like, he even, like, takes his little T-Rex arm and, like, pulls, like, tendons, like, out of his teeth or whatever. Yeah. And it's, like, pretty elasticy.
And then he gets a hand mirror, which is awesome.
He, like, touches his old face with, like, his little claws, and he's like, what? And then just, like, looks in a mirror.
He just, like, pulls out a hand mirror and is like, what the fuck? Oh, I love it so much. I guess I have Muscle Man's name is Carl. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Right as we don't need his name anymore, but
I refuse to accept that.
Yes. Muscle Man comes in and tries to fight the dinosaur and gets stepped on and crushed.
Why would you try to fight the dinosaur?
The crushing part comes back in the best way later. I mean, he's a muscle man. He could fight a dinosaur.
He thought so, yeah.
Even though that dinosaur, like, pretty easily threw a fucking weight set at him earlier. Like,
yes.
So the dinosaur breaks out of this fucking science lab, and there's, like, an old lady on this payphone. Tries to, like, tell whoever on the other end is like, there's a dinosaur here, I gotta go, and, like, leaves, and the dinosaur picks up the payphone, like, the receiver for the payphone, and tries to call Tammy.
And then he leaves a
best
message.
Visual gag.
It is my my favorite thing is him with the phone up to his head, and then that he checks for change after he hangs up. It's so good. And you just cut to a fucking dumb-looking party where Tammy is at, looking very upset, and somebody comes up. I think her name was Michelle, but it's just like one of the girls that, like, called Billy to tell that Michael was at Tammy's place. She comes up and apologizes to Tammy, who is like having none of it. There's some quick back and forth between her and Byron, and then Billy and his crew show up. Tammy goes to leave and just basically tells Billy to get fucked, and he's like, "Fuck you, bitch!" Like, immediately just starts like dry humping some other girl.
The blonde girl, yeah.
Yeah, Alicia Silverstone.
I wish.
The dinosaur shows up and is just kind of peeping out through a fucking tree at this party. And sees like Byron's there, and he sees like Billy and the rest of the crew is there. Billy and Alicia Silverstone go off to fuck, and they leave Weasel, his henchman, at the party, who goes over around the tree to pee and is just like, "Look at this fucking piece of shit dinosaur. Why is this here?" And pees on its foot and then just gets disemboweled by the fucking dinosaur foot.
What kind of a piece of shit do you have to be to see a giant T-Rex and be like, "Fuck this thing, I'm gonna pee on it," instead of being like, "This is the dopest shit in the world"?
No kidding.
It is. It looks so good. I'd be like, "Someone come take my picture. I'm gonna climb it." Like,
right?
I'm gonna be like, I want to see if this thing needs to make some phone calls, because this thing looks fucking cool.
Why does it have change?
And then you cut to the
my
dinosaur walking towards Billy, who is fucking this blonde woman in the car.
okay. Okay, so they're like in the back of the car, and he's like on top of her, and they're like, whatever. And so she sees the T-Rex, and she starts screaming, and Billy is yelling at her, "I'm good, right? I'm good, right? I'm good, right?" And I'm just like, oh my god.
I just like that her legs are straight up in the air. Like,
yeah.
it's the worst depiction of sex I think I've seen in a movie. It's pretty fucking terrible. But the dinosaur pulls her out by the leg.
Yeah.
And Billy just goes fucking running off, trying to warn everybody and telling them to call the cops. The dinosaur at this point, it just starts tearing through the party, following Billy, who shows up in like a tent trying to warn everybody, and they're just like, Billy's playing a prank on us, and gets his fucking head eaten off.
Yep.
Which seemed very early to me, and also kind of anticlimactic for, you know, the guy that made Billy this way, or Michael this way.
Yeah. I did like that, like, after he bites his head off, he, like, drops his head and it just, like, splatters on it just, like, splatters, and it's like a limp, like, glove face or something, like.
You then get one of my other favorite scenes of this movie, which is the dinosaur tripping people running down the stairs. Like, everybody's fleeing, and he like trips some people, and Byron trips over these people, and then he just like helps Byron get up and dusts him off and lets him go on his way after he steps on the people that he tripped.
And Byron was just like, "Thank you," and then just like runs.
And then he fucking two dudes like go to like hide under their car, and the dinosaur just steps on the car and just squashes their fucking heads in half. Also,
I don't know what they expected to happen.
I mean, every time I've seen a dinosaur in any movie where they're in some sort of modern times, they always step on cars.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, it's the thing to do.
These dumb kids have not seen Jurassic Park yet.
If I was large and saw a car, stepping on it easily.
Oh,
it looks so crushy.
Bare minimum, I'm gonna like kick it or something.
Yeah. Something underneath it's gonna die for sure.
Look, 30-year-old teenagers are dumb. So it cuts to like the police arriving with these two fucking dumb cops, and then Sheriff Black, because of course, who is Byron's dad. They all arrive and see like all these dead bodies, and there's just like a bunch of jokes the two two cops are making, and then the sheriff's trying to like actually do his job. I do like the fucking absolutely terrible like effect of the head that they're poking with the stick.
Yeah, he's just
good.
like eating and poking.
I like that he's poking like, yeah. I think that's supposed to be the nose.
They eventually find like this couple hiding like under a table or some shit.
It was the like drink stand. So it's like the
okay,
bartender. Yeah.
And like they go to like arrest them or whatever to like get info out of them, and the girl tells them that it was a dinosaur, and obviously they're just like right. And then Byron shows up and it's just like, no, this is a dinosaur, like there was a dinosaur here, like I don't know how to make you believe me, but that's what happened. And then the two cops make some cool gay jokes, starting that whole fucking running thread in this movie. You then cut to Helga finding Carl's fucking squashed body on the street.
Yes.
Which just looks all fucked up and gross. It rules. It's just like it looks straight out of like Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, it really does.
But she's like trying to get Carl's body just fucking unsquashed off the fucking cement. And I don't remember exactly what Dr. Walkenstein is saying, but they're talking about how like obviously the dinosaur thing worked. And they have an argument, and I just wrote down the quote, "Who cares? They'll love it. They're capitalists." But she, like, they go back into like their lab, and she just grabs fucking Carl's gross body by the foot and drags him in. And he's just all fucking flat.
After trying to roll him up like a rug. Like,
God, it's so good. Imagine like having this and being like, we gotta cut all this shit out.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know what. I feel like maybe the squashed thing would stay.
Maybe.
Like, I've seen stuff like that. I don't know.
Well, like,
maybe kids
like
think
Roger
that's funny.
Rabbit, but
Yeah.
I feel like the PG-13 version or whatever is like 12 minutes long.
it's like a YouTube short.
Yes.
Here's the trailer.
You cut to Tammy at home, who just got out of the shower and is like putting on makeup. And all of a sudden, like, all of the shit on her desk starts like shaking. I guess this is supposed to be California because everybody's just like, it's just like earthquakes.
Yeah.
Which ends up being the dinosaur coming to her window, which she turns around and sees and screams as her parents downstairs like have a blender running, and the dad turns it off, and it's just like, I don't know, something, I think I'm gonna go check on her. And the mom's just like, she doesn't like to be bothered, and turns the blender back on. And the dad's like, no, I'm gonna go up and check anyway. And they get upstairs and find that she and basically all of her shit has been pulled through the fucking window.
Yeah, he's just like, so at this point he's just kind of like, oh, looks like she went out the window, but like her shit's tipped over everywhere. And I'm like, no, this is not right. This is not what happens.
And then you cut to another fucking bonkers scene of the dinosaur has taken Tammy to a barn and is like, she's passed out, and he's like stroking her hair, and she wakes up, and then they start playing charades.
Yeah.
After he's trying to be like, I'm Michael, and he's like eats a fucking flower and then points at her bracelet, and then they just fucking play charades for like a solid 2 minutes. It's so fucking awesome. They like I
like how she immediately like believes him too. She's just like, oh, Michael's brain is in there. Oh, I love you so much. I'm so happy. And then she's like caressing him and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's so awesome. Every time the dinosaur does anything like person-wise, it is the best thing of all time.
He has like a lot of like personality too. Like I don't know. I didn't see in the reading like what the point of that T-Rex was, like what they were using it for. But he's got like very human eyes. Like he has a lot of personality.
I don't remember where the person had it, but they were transferring it to Texas for like an amusement park or something.
Oh.
But I don't remember why the guy had it in the first place.
I wonder if it's still in Texas.
You better find out.
I feel like this thing either got destroyed immediately after this movie bombed, or like it's gotta be somewhere.
Gonna go looking for abandoned theme parks.
Yes, like sleigh bells.
I'm gonna Google it. Oh jeez.
So you cut to a scene of the sheriff and those other two cops at Tammy's home, like talking to the parents, and like it's just essentially talking about like the Byron's dad, the sheriff, is kind of, I guess, bordering on the idea of believing there's a dinosaur, but they're just kind of arguing with the parents about like whatever, and Tammy shows up. Byron's there, and Tammy's just like, they're like, where have you been? Like, what happened? What happened to the window? And she's like, a meteor happened. A meteor hit my window.
Yeah, you know,
normal.
Whatever. Real cash.
Fine.
It happened. I mean, it's California.
Wild out there.
I mean, yeah.
There was also like a thing where Dr. Walkenstein told Helga that like if they want to find the dinosaur, they have to have like bait, and they know the bait is Tammy, so like they're kind of out on the street in plain view in this car watching all of this fucking unfold. And then there's like a quick thing of Tammy and Byron having a conversation about Michael, where they both obviously believe it because they had interactions with it. And you cut to Michael's funeral, where the dinosaur is just in the background watching. Nobody seems to fucking see.
Incredibly stealthy.
Yes, this dinosaur gets around very good without anybody seeing him, because he had to get to his funeral.
Right.
Like all of these, like, how did he get from Tammy's house in a fucking like suburbs neighborhood to wherever this barn is at without anybody seeing him?
Broad daylight too.
Just carrying a lifeless fucking body of this girl. Yeah, I don't know, that stuff at the funeral, like his uncle gives like a speech about Michael being, I don't know, I guess like a positive influence or some shit, and
I like when he says that he's a drunk, and it just cuts to everyone nodding, and you see Michael as the T-Rex nodding furiously.
That's bleak. I don't want to know what is going on in Michael's head at that point. Michael has seen some shit. So Byron and Tammy's plan at this funeral is that after everybody leaves, they're going to get Michael's body and take it back to these doctors that did this to him in the first place. And so Tammy has to climb into the grave, and like Byron's just like, be careful, there's probably worms down there. Ugh. And they do the opposite of what you expect it to be, which is like, you expect him to open it like and get his body or whatever, but instead they open it and his body is just all fucked up and decomposed, which is pretty fucking great.
And there's like maggots in it.
Fast.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I get. Yeah, it's like, so they stole his body first of all. Like, didn't the hospital think like, where'd this guy go? And then he just like shows up in the morgue with like his skull cap stapled back on. They don't do like any embalming or like anything. He's just like immediately put it. It's just very shoddy is all I'm saying. But I guess you can't really expect much from a town that has like roaming jungle cats. So, I mean,
that's true.
At this point, they're like both freaking out, and Tammy's trying to get like out of this fucking grave when Dr. Walkenstein and Helga show up, and they try to kidnap Tammy. At this point, the dinosaur is like super, like, that's the they both scream when they open the fucking casket, and then the dinosaur also screams and just like fucking roars behind him. But like essentially they like knock Byron into this grave, and they grab Tammy, and he's just like threatening to cut her jugular if this dinosaur doesn't come with them. And they manage to end up knocking Dr. Walkenstein and Helga into the grave. And Tammy tells Byron that like they need both of them because they're the only way they could get like the brain put back into a new body. They they take Dr. Walkenstein and Helga's truck and have them tied up with their mouths taped at like the passenger seat. This truck is insane. It's just fucking bright fucking like yellow with just these giant fucking sides to it, which you know was just the truck they had to like transport this dinosaur, like in real life.
Yeah, right.
It just rules watching them drive it though, where there's just like a dinosaur head popped out of it like a fucking sunroof.
It's so hilarious.
So they go to the morgue to try to find a new body, where hilarity ensues.
Which is not normally a sentence, I feel like people say.
This scene is so stupid and so awesome. Like, they go in, and Byron and, like, Tammy are looking at bodies, and, like, Byron is trying to convince her to, like, put the brain inside this, like, blonde woman's body, and she's like, no, I don't want a girl, I want a guy. And then they're just like, well, it's going to be Michael's body, so why don't we let him decide? So they get, like, Michael in this dinosaur body's attention and just start holding up, like, bodies into the front in the window and asking for his opinion. And, like,
there's, like, goofy, like, montage music playing, and it's just, it's something.
It rules, because it's just, like, Byron holds up, like, a black guy's body and just like, you want to be a brother? Like, and, like, all Michael could do is just kind of, like, he's, like, he scratches his face a couple times, and he just has to, like, try to do a thumbs down. And, like, I think it was, like, the one, like, the black guy's body, the Asian guy, and then, like, the woman, maybe, like, one white dude. And he turns them all down just as the cops show up, and Dr. Walkenstein and Helga are like breaking out of the truck. Tammy and Byron run back down and like just jump in the truck and take off as the cops are trying to like ask Dr. Walkenstein and Helga what's going on. They realize they're asking him questions that they can't answer, and the one cop's just like, you have to take their tape off their mouths, dummy. And so they do that, and they get Dr. Walkenstein's just basically like, they stole like that dinosaur from me, blah blah blah, and the cops are like, all right, well, we're on it, and they go to drive off, and Walkenstein and Helga have like a quick back and forth, and he tells her to he says, chew my rope to get him untied, and then it just essentially looks like he's getting a blowjob. Hard sigh from Katie. Then you get like a bunch of shit where they're like chasing them, and the cops are chasing them while they're driving this truck. They call the sheriff, and they literally almost drop the F-word gay slur when talking about his son and cut themselves off. It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
So now at this point, the sheriff is also like coming to chase them. Byron, driving the truck, tells Tammy to hang on to your boobs. And
I mean,
what she does.
She does. You gotta. He also, like, when the cops are like chasing, he's like, he's my friend and I'm keeping him. I just thought that was really funny.
God, Byron fucking rules.
He does.
There's just like a long like police chase where they're driving through like what looks like a winery.
Yeah, it's like an orchard of some kind.
Yeah.
It's like the lowest speed police chase in recorded history.
Also, I'm not really sure how they thought they were gonna like lose them on a like a one-way road with like a huge yellow truck and a dinosaur sticking out of it.
A truck and a dinosaur that has to at least weigh like 2 tons.
In fairness, he's been very stealthy up to this point.
Also,
hiding at the funeral and in the suburbs.
These cops are also not great at their jobs.
No.
Yes. They're very stupid.
So basically, they give chase until they have to stop at like a ravine that's in front of them or some shit, and they turn around and realize that Michael fell out of the truck from all of the branches he's fucking hitting. Byron goes to like distract the cops so Tammy and Michael can get away, and they arrest Byron and come out to see Tammy off in the distance riding the dinosaur. And another great effect.
I just wrote Tammy rides P-Rex. Yikes.
It's pretty fucking cool. The effect is like real bad. That's maybe like the worst effect in the movie.
The legs moving anytime it just like is a wide shot of him running.
Oh, it's so good. You cut to the next day where the cops are following somebody riding their bike through these fucking orchards or whatever, these back roads and shit, and ends up being Byron, who swears he wasn't followed as he pulls up and Tammy and the dinosaur are on the ground cuddling.
And by the way, he thinks that he wasn't being followed. The cops are literally right behind him.
Like 8 feet behind him.
He's in like bright red biking gear.
Yeah.
Not subtle.
Oh, it's so dumb. He keeps swearing the cops didn't follow him, and then they hear a bunch of cop cars pull up, and they decide they need to go out to like talk to the cops again, but they need something to look like, to wave so they know not to get shot. So he's like, we need something white besides you, to Tammy. And so they come out waving Tammy's bra, which like the cops are just like, that's not a flag, that's a brassiere.
Which like she's wearing like a crushed red velvet dress. She was not wearing a bra underneath that. Like, nope. Come on.
Yeah, she definitely was not. I just like the fact that she's still wearing that dress, cuddling in the fucking dirt with a dinosaur. Tammy and Byron go out, and they're trying to like tell the cops again that like that's Michael in there, like don't hurt him or whatever. Like as Dr. Walkenstein and Helga show up, they show up and they're like trying to convince the cops that like that's my dinosaur, like whatever, and Dr. Walkenstein is just like, well, like I brought a trank gun to go get it, and Byron's just like, well, if it's a mechanical dinosaur and not real, or like whatever, like what's the trank gun gonna do? And he immediately just starts saying a bunch of bullshit about how like it's a new kind of technology.
Something about crystals and something or other. I was like, what?
It's a bunch of real science mumbo jumbo. And
but the cops totally believe him.
Yes, of course the cops are like, yes, makes sense. And so he goes in with this fucking crazy giant gun with Helga to like get Michael, who is again being extremely stealth. And like they hear like something behind him, and like Walkenstein like shoots a fucking deer head on the wall, and as they're like paying attention to that, Michael walks out and just fucking bites the entire midsection of like Walkenstein out.
Oh, it rules so hard.
I like couldn't even figure out what the fuck he actually did to him, but he just comes out with this like shit ton of gore, and it rules.
Then he spits it in Helga's face.
Yes. And so like Helga goes running out, like dress coming up as she's trying to hold it down as she's running away. And like Michael kind of starts stepping out, and the cops just open fire on him. basically killing him as Tammy runs in and just like is crying and saying she loves him as his mechanical eye half shuts.
Yeah, I was like, how can she tell that he's actually dead? Like, also, why did he die?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I just thought it was better to not ask.
Yeah, I just like how like Tammy and Byron are like crying, and then like the two cops who just shot him are also crying. I'm like, what the heck? That was you.
Yeah, you didn't have to do that.
Right?
You then cut to an indeterminate amount of time later into somehow the craziest scene in this movie.
Yes.
Gotta save the best for last.
Tammy drives up and her parents are out doing like yard work and she's super chipper and just like stoked on life, and the parents are just like, I don't know why she's so happy, like this is weird, and the dad's just like, I'm not comfortable with like him being up there with her in that state. And you cut to her coming in and she turns on her computer and takes a fucking cap off like a
camcorder.
Yeah, like an old school camcorder. And then you pan down to see just the brain in the fucking like bowl of liquid with like the probes and shit in it. She starts just having a conversation with Michael and they're flirting, and she's just like, they get all fucking...
She gives him a shot. She pours a shot over his brain.
That's so terrible. And
it's fucking insane.
She's like, okay, I'll be right back, and comes back in like lingerie and does a striptease for him in front of the camera.
And he's like so his voice is like coming out of the camcorder, and she's like dancing. She's like, oh yeah, you want some more? And he's just like, yeah, baby. He's like screaming to her. It's very strange.
And
he like starts sparking because
yes,
he's so excited.
I think that's him coming.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yes.
And end of movie. You end with a brain coming.
Oh, and she says something like, "Oh, I have good news. They found the bodies of those frozen
Right.
like mountain climbers, so I'm gonna go check it out." Like she's trying to get him a body still. I was like, "Oh."
She's just robbing graves now. It's fine.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. And then the end. Like, what?
Not at all where I
Perfect
thought
film.
the fucking ending was going.
Incredible.
No.
Oh,
Well, so I
good.
can't ascertain where the T-Rex went, but Texas does have something called Dinosaur Valley State Park.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a bunch
I
of
wonder if he's
pictures
there.
of different dinosaurs and stuff, but none of them look like... I mean, he's pretty detailed, and most of the ones that I see here are like just fiberglass, like whatever, so...
Yeah, they're pretty shit.
It's
Yeah, so...
surprising that somebody for like the Blu-ray didn't do like a little mini featurette of trying to track down this dinosaur.
That's
Just,
us.
oh, where
TM,
are they
TM.
now?
Yes,
We're gonna do it.
Give us money, Vinegar Syndrome, and then re-release this. Yes, this movie is amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
So worth a watch.
So, did anybody have like any news?
I have a lot of news.
Oh God.
Well, first, I feel like a lot of people have probably seen most of this stuff by now, but just in case you're not on the internet 24/7, there's going to be a Child's Play series.
Oh yeah, that officially got picked up.
Yeah, which we'll see. I don't know.
If it ends up being like what Don Mancini said it's supposed to be, I'm extremely interested because he said it won't be a linear story. It'll just be like some episodes will be following what happened at the end of Cult of Chucky, and then some of it will be like just random episodes of like adventures with like Chucky and Tiffany and shit, and it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I remember, I don't even know what episode it was, but I feel like we talked about this a really long time ago at this point, so it's official at this point. What We Do in the Shadows, Season 2 is coming out in the spring, which if people have not watched the first one, I highly recommend it. So obviously it's based off of the movie What We Do in the Shadows, which is a gem, and the
Kit,
show...
Have you watched that movie yet, Kit?
No, not yet.
We should.
Oh my god.
We should do an episode on it.
Yes, we should.
Great.
It's one of my favorite movies, and the series obviously doesn't. It's not the same people from the movie, but it's like the same setup. And I was like a little worried about it because I was like, yeah, I don't know. The movie worked really well. I don't really know how they're gonna do like a series. The series is very good, and I think just as funny. And there's a lot of cameos in it.
I like Matt Berry, so him being involved, I was like on board.
Yeah, it's very good. But so yeah, we're getting a second season of that, and Mark Hamill is gonna guest star. So I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with that. They announced a new Argento film called Black Glasses.
Oof.
Uh-oh.
I didn't really look into that one too much. I just sort of saw a blurb of it.
It's
so
him and his daughter are like teaming up again or whatever, and Argento has not made a good movie in a while, so
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it, but still.
Yeah, everyone can come back. We'll see. And then the last thing, which specifically I care about, maybe no one else does. Have you guys seen the series Hannibal?
I haven't, but I've heard it's good.
It is one of the best things I've ever watched in my entire life. Like, I watched it when it was airing, so this was like, sorry, there's cats happening right now. It's like, I watched it whenever it was like originally airing, and I have never, I don't know if most people, I cry very easily, like I cry all the time if it's like happy or sad. This show, like, made me, I've never cried so hard watching something like in my whole life. Like, definition of like ugly sobbing is what I was like so invested. The show is so good. It's like shot really well. The story's good. So basically, if people obviously know that Hannibal is from Silence of the Lambs, which is like one of my favorite movies. And so the series actually takes place like way before Silence of the Lambs, where Hannibal is like still like he's like a psychiatrist and like practicing. And so the story is like him and then this detective who is Hugh Dancy. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but
I do not.
I love him. He's from Ella Enchanted. Anyways, I just think that's funny. So he plays like basically like a agent who is like, unbeknownst to him, you know, like has a relationship with Hannibal and is trying to catch Hannibal, and it's just like this, I don't know, it's crazy. It's like, I feel like it's one of those things that I can't describe how good it is. It's amazing, so everyone should watch it. Anyways, so it was canceled after 3 seasons, and they just announced that they have a series called Clarice that is like set to air, I think it's CBS, and everyone's like really pissed because why not just renew Hannibal, which is what they should do. Like, Brian Fuller's on board, all of the actors are on board. I read a little into it, and like apparently that specific storyline doesn't have the rights to do anything with Clarice, which like who cares, because who cares about Clarice anymore? So basically a bunch of fans have started this thing to try and like revive it, and they're using the hashtag Save Hannibal. And so I've been using it every day. So if you like Hannibal, I encourage people to go on Twitter and use it because it's amazing. So that's my last news, but that's also my recommendation is to go watch Hannibal.
It's just dumb because it's like the way it sounds is it just sounds like it's going to be a regular crime procedural that they just were like, well, we have this like IP that we can use, so let's just use this. Which is just like a dumb reason to have a show.
I just like, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really read too much into it because I personally am like, even though I love Silence of the Lambs, it's, wow. I don't know. I just feel like it's also kind of like a weird time. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about it. I think they should just bring back Hannibal for a season 4. So everyone should just rally and maybe we can make it happen.
Kit, you want to recommend anything?
I watched a movie called The Endless last night. That was pretty good. It's about a couple of brothers that were in a UFO death cult as kids, and they got out. And one brother, like, feels like his life is ruined because he got out of the death cult. So his older brother brings him back, like, kind of against his own will, and they get back there and things get very weird and cosmic and Lovecraftian, and I don't know, it's low budget, but it's pretty good, pretty interesting.
What did you watch it on?
It is on Netflix. I don't know if it's on anything else right now.
Boo. Boo.
I know. It's the first thing I've watched on Netflix in like 3 months.
Yes, I can't even tell you the last time I logged into Netflix.
I gotta say, I am a little bit bummed because Netflix has that BBC Dracula series, which I really want to watch because, like, obviously. So if anyone wants to let me use their Netflix to stick it to the man, let me know. But
we stan Hot Dracula and do not stan Netflix.
Correct. Yes.
My recommendation is the new album from Salomoth, The Larval Hope. It's my friend Gary's, his death metal one-man project thing that is real good, and he's donating 50% of the sales of it from Bandcamp to a wildlife rescue. So
yay! Thanks, guy. We stand.
Go check that out. It's real good.
I've always said sallow moths are my favorite moths.
Same. Say it a lot.
Yeah.
Alright, so next week will be an episode where we made Katie watch Abominable and Terror Vision. She's gonna tell us how she liked those. There's like a sort of catch up to some of the shit Kit and I have watched. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. You can rate and review us on iTunes if you want to be nice to us.
Not only can you definitely just should.
Yes.
Thanks.
And bring us those cornbread recipes.
Yes.
Oh, man. I was going to fake you guys out by saying my recommendation was cornbread because I made cornbread last night and it was so good, but I just got caught up in the emotions of Hannibal again. I'm just a whirlwind of emotions.
Just assume every week our recommendation is our non-said recommendation is cornbread.
Yeah,
yes.
I stand behind that.
Yes, back.
You can follow us on Twitter at I Hope You Suffer, and Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Kit's podcast Riff Raff is back. I saw it today.
Woo!
I am caught up until today's episode, so I'm excited to listen to Kit be a ghost on it. I assume there's a lot of
very
talk,
spooky.
A lot of talk about fires.
Yes.
You can follow Katie on Instagram at werewolfface for stuff.
You can also,
and things.
if you get stuff, there
Not
are
so many
stuff
things,
and things,
but usually just stuff.
Yeah. Also, if
like
you guys
90-10
like our
split.
logo and you want to help support me and my art, you can buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com/werewolfface. I also love regular coffee, so thanks.
Just mail Katie some coffee. I'll give you her email, her address.
Throw it to her.
Her email.
You can listen to my other podcast, Let Me Be Your Pot of Love. We actually have episodes coming out after like a month of a break. And I think the episode that'll drop the same week as this, our friend Irene is on it for season 2 of Flavor of Love opener, and it's real good.
Oh, hell yeah.
Talk about a woman shitting on the stairs.
Oh no.
A perfect episode of television.
Oh, it's so good. All right. I'd say watch Abominable and Terror Vision for next week because they're both good, but hopefully you have already. So, all right. I hope you suffer, but why? Meat shake.
Damn it, I should have done the but why in a spooky voice.